I love the transition from summer to autumn. Gives me a chance to go from my fresh summer fragrances into the sweeter, denser fragrances that I really enjoy. Now, of course, you can wear whichever fragrance you want any time of year, but I like to do these lists because there are some fragrances that we don't always want to wear in the summer, and there are some warmer, richer fragrances that we love to wear in the cold weather. So these are 9 autumn fragrances that I can't wait to wear this autumn. In at number 9 then is Scandal by Jean Paul Gaultier. You really can't go wrong with the Jean Paul Gaultier fragrances. They're always brilliant. Every Jean Paul Gaultier fragrance I try, every new release is always fantastic. And when I first tried this, I knew I was going to love it because it has a interesting mix of aromatics with caramel. So you have this sage note, which is an aromatic note mixed with caramel with a nice vetiver in the background. This is very playful. It's quite youthful, but it's really fun. And sometimes I like to wear these enjoyable fragrances that aren't really complex. They just smell good. And that is how I feel about this. It just smells good. It's very sweet, it's youthful, and it's really fun to wear. And I think this is really great to wear in the autumn. I think in the summer it can be a bit too cloying because of that sweetness. That caramel sweetness can be a bit heavy. But in the autumn, as the weather tones down a bit, this is fantastic to wear. The performance on this for an eau de toilette is really good. And for that reason, it's great to wear in the autumn. Number 8, a new release from Ralph Lauren. This is Polo Red Parfum. This took me a few tries to actually appreciate it. When I first tried it, I didn't really think much of it, but now I really appreciate how well this has been made. It starts off very fresh. This is on the fresher side of any fragrance that we're going to look at today. This could be a sort of spring summery fragrance because it has lots of zestiness in the opening. It's fruity, it's zesty, but as it dries down, it becomes spicy. You get this sort of spiciness come through. And I sprayed it on a test strip earlier when I was planning for the video, and I noticed after I'd smelt it about half an hour later, the freshness had died down and it became a lot more spicy and slightly resinous. So this is a great one to wear for the autumn, but I'm going to reserve this more for the warmer autumn days. And it's a very versatile fragrance. You can wear this anywhere and you know you're going to smell great. This is Polo Red Parfum. Number 7 from Versace Eros Flame. Now, the reason why I chose this instead of the original Eros is I find now I'm getting older. I'm appreciating this one more because it's more grown up. It's not as youthful as the original Eros, which I still do love. But why I chose Eros Flame for my autumn list is because I think this is a great idea of what the transition is like from summer to autumn. We go from the fresh, vibrant summer into the colder, darker autumn, and that is how this fragrance smells to me. We have lovely peppery citrus notes in the opening, and as it dries down, it becomes a bit sweeter and a bit darker. So for me, it's a great representation of going from summer to autumn. Now, this does smell a lot less youthful than the original Eros, and to be honest, this just smells really good. It's one of those fragrances that you just spray on yourself on a test strip, and you smell it, and you just get that feeling of, wow, this is a really good fragrance. And that is exactly how I felt when I was writing this video. I really appreciate Versace Eros Flame for what it is. It's a great fragrance, and I think it's a versatile, easy to wear fragrance for any age group, and the performance is great as well. I have no idea if this one is going to be discontinued. It seems to be harder to find now, but I don't know if it's been discontinued. If any of you know, please leave me a comment. In at number 6, and again a new release, this time from Jean Paul Gaultier. This is Le Male Elixir. This is probably going to feature in my winter designer fragrance list as well because I really love it. It has got a lot of hype. Now, some people say the hype is justified, some people say it's not. The reason why it may not be justified is there are some similarities between this and Le Male Le Parfum, which I have down there, which I do love as well. But this has enough differences to warrant owning both if you love that DNA. Le Male Elixir for me is a revamped, revitalized and modern version of Le Male, a fragrance that I wouldn't really recommend you buy anymore unless you're a collector and you want that really old school and famous DNA in your collection. Le Male Elixir starts off very bright. It's almost vibrant with that beautiful mint and lavender note, which is so famous, of course, in this DNA. And as it dries down, it becomes more masculine, a lot more masculine, in my opinion, than Le Male Le Parfum. We have honey, we have tobacco, it's a bit more woodier, it's stronger in the base notes as well, and for that reason, colder weather, it's really good. Performance is not a beast mode performance, it's not really strong, it's not a room filler, but it lasts a long time on my skin. It sort of sticks to my skin. Those heavier notes in the base stick to my skin, and it does have good performance. So in the autumn, you're getting cold, it's getting dark, and you want something bright, but also with some depth, some sweetness, and some masculine notes. Le Male Elixir is a great choice. And yes, it's hyped up, but I believe the hype is justified, and I'd highly recommend you try it. Number 5, this is such a winner. This is a must-have, in my opinion, in anyone's collection. If you're really interested in fragrances and you're looking for the best designer fragrances that you can buy, this is always in my lists because it's fantastic. This is ARMANI Stronger With You Intensely. Starting off, the elephant in the room. Is it discontinued? I'm not sure. I've heard it's discontinued. I do not know. I bought a few backup bottles just in case. But what I feel ARMANI might do, it would seem crazy to discontinue this because no doubt it's their best Stronger With You fragrance, and I'm 100% convinced it's their most popular in terms of sales. So will they discontinue it? I don't know. What they might do is what they've done with the ARMANI Acqua di Gio line, release the original EDP Parfum and then do an Elixir, whatever they want to do. But I think they might do that. So they might discontinue this, bring it back as an Eau de Parfum. That's only just my opinion, not sure if they're doing that or not. But onto the fragrance. This is a room filler, and like Le Male Elixir, this will feature probably in my winter designer fragrance list because it's brilliant. It's so warming, it's ambery, it's toffee, but it has this aromatic side as well. It has lavender, it has chestnut. It's a very woody, nutty, sweet fragrance, and this is one of the strongest designer fragrances I've tried. And when I say it fills a room, what I mean is you spray it on yourself, go outside the room, come back 5 minutes later, and I guarantee you'll still smell it. It does fill the room, and it's a must-have fragrance in my opinion. Stronger With You Intensely. If you only buy one Stronger With You, make it this one. On to the last 4 from Tom Ford, Noir Extreme. This for me is like the epitome of Tom Ford fragrances. Very inventive, very creative, and making things that don't really remind us of anything else. Apart from the parfum version of this, there isn't anything, in my opinion, or that I've tried, that smells similar to this. This is very spicy. It has cardamom in the opening. It's very spicy. It has a dessert-like smell, so it's spicy, it's sweet. You then have woody notes in the base, and actually this makes, in my opinion, for a really good date night scent. So if you want something for the colder weather that's a great date night scent, this would be up there for me because it's not a loud fragrance. It's not one that like Stronger With You Intensely that's going to sort of fill the room. It's much more reserved. It sits much more closer to the skin. So for a date night, I think this works great. But Tom Ford go in different directions with their fragrances. I love the creative fragrances that don't remind me of anything else. And for me, Tom Ford Noir Extreme and the new Parfum version really fit that bill perfectly. And that's why I love Tom Ford fragrances. So number 4, Noir Extreme Parfum. Number 3, Givenchy Gentleman Reserve Privée. This has overtaken the Eau de Parfum concentration as my favourite in the Givenchy Gentleman line. For a long time, Givenchy Gentleman EDP was my favourite, with this second, but now I've worn this a lot over the last month or so and it's become my favourite. I love this, it's fantastic. It's sort of like the best mix of Dior Homme Intense, Valentino Uomo, Givenchy EDP, all mixed together to create this perfect iteration of a men's iris fragrance with a beautiful boozy note. This for me, it smells very expensive, it's classy, it has this classiness to it, but out of all of these fragrances, I would say this smells the most expensive. Even though Tom Ford Noir Extreme is more expensive than this smells a cut above everything else. It's beautiful, and for me, this works perfect as a formal events fragrance. If you're going to anywhere where you're dressing up a little bit nicer, this works perfectly. Now, I used to struggle with the performance of Givenchy Gentleman Reserve Privée, but now it lasts ages on my skin. I spray it on my forearm, and even into the next day, I can still smell it. So no issue with the performance. It's a quality fragrance and a must-have this autumn, in my opinion. This is number 3, Givenchy Gentleman Reserve Privée. Number 2, and the cheapest in this list, is Tommy Hilfiger Impact Intense. Now, the main reason why this is featuring so high is because of the price versus the performance versus the quality of the fragrance. Now, let's start off quickly talking about this cap, which surprised me. I didn't even expect to get this James Bond cap here. Look, you take this off here, and then inside, you open it up, and you have a travel atomizer inside the lid. I know, not sure if you can see that very well, but that is really cool. But let's talk about the actual fragrance. So, Tommy Hilfiger Impact Intense is fruity, from red apple, it's spicy from cardamom, and it's woody from cedarwood. It's very smooth and spicy and fruity, and does have a sort of high quality, almost expensive feel about it. It's synthetic, of course, it's cheap, it's a cheap fragrance, but it does smell quite smooth and high quality for the price. Now, there is a fragrance this reminds me of, and that is Parfums de Marly Layton. Not in terms of quality, just those notes mixed together, the fruitiness, the sweetness, the spiciness, all mixed together, create this similar vibe to Parfums de Marly Layton. But I promise you, for the price and the enjoyability factor you get with this, you can't go wrong. And it is great for the autumn because it has those characteristics that we want for the autumn. So number 2, Tommy Hilfiger, Impact Intense. By the way, samples for every single one of these fragrances you see are available on visionaryfragrances.com or visionaryfragranceseu.com if you're in the European Union. Number 1, Bvlgari's Man in Black. Did you think this was going to be number 1? What would you have had for your number 1? Let me know in the comments. So, Bvlgari's Man in Black is a much smoother, more refined and less spicy version of Spice Bomb or Spice Bomb Extreme, but more the original Spice Bomb reminds me of. Now, like Reserve Privée, this is a formal fragrance, in my opinion. It sits on the formal side, and it has actually got a really light iris note in there, similar to Givenchy Gentleman Reserve Privée, but it's got the booziness, it's got tobacco, it's got rum, it's got masculine woods as well. As it dries down, it becomes really quite masculine, but the refined quality this has and the warming nature, the spicy nature make this just perfect for the autumn. Those cold autumn nights when you're dressing up a bit more warming, you've got the long pants on, you've got a long shirt on or a blazer, whatever you go out to town wearing. This is where Bvlgari's Man in Black comes in perfectly. It's great for those events, it's great for nighttime. It just gives you that sort of classy, elegant feeling that we sometimes search for when we're dressing up a bit nicer. Now, unfortunately, my girlfriend doesn't like this, and I know that because I wore it last night, and she literally said, "What are you wearing? It's horrible." So I'm disappointed because I love this fragrance, but I don't care. I'm still gonna wear it. And so should you. It's a fantastic fragrance. So my number 1 pick, Autumn 2023, is Bvlgari's Man in Black, but all 9 of these fragrances, in my opinion, are fantastic. Now let me know your favorite fragrance to wear in the autumn, and I'll see you soon.